My name is Patrick Rainsberry. I'm with SolidWorks Corporation, and we're going to be talking about, for the next 15 minutes or so, is just about sustainable design and some of the stuff that we're doing in terms of, helping people to be a little bit more environmentally responsible and just kind of put some more sustainability practices into the design side of product engineering. So if you just look at like the business of sustainability, right? If you look at kind of like today's product space, I think that there's a lot of benefits that can be had just in general from being more sustainable and a little bit more responsible with this type of stuff. So from increased sales, decreased costs, new products, improved quality, all these different things. I'm going to walk through some of these real quick and some examples. So Procter & Gamble, big proponents actually. You would think that company wouldn't be as responsible as they are. They actually do a lot of stuff, and consumers respond to it, right? So if you look at this new Tide cold water, for example, they did a life cycle assessment of the whole process of washing clothes, right? So they looked at the process of washing clothes and they said, okay, well, where's the big energy waster? What's the worst thing? Is it the waste? And really, ultimately, the worst thing about washing your clothes was the fact that you're heating up the water, and really the amount of energy that's consumed and then burning of the natural gas, etc., of getting the water hot in the first place was actually really overall the worst thing. So what they did is they figured, is this on still? Yeah. They figured that if they could come up with a formula that would work well in cold water, the net gain, overall was actually the best. So other examples, like IBM, obviously big green proponent. We have a statistic in here that they just did some like greening up of their server rooms and saved them like $32 million in 1 year, just in terms of power consumption. Energy Hub is a nice company. This is a SolidWorks customer. It has a whole interface for managing the electricity in your house. Avery, another good example of a SolidWorks customer they did a bunch of life cycle assessment stuff and actually led to higher quality products for them. DuPont, again, another company, kind of like a chemical company that actually does a lot of stuff in terms of just being responsible, redoing some of the chemistry in different products. EMC they actually implemented this whole internal thing where they give out these awards for people to come up with ideas to make the environment more sustainable. Staples actually just dropped this huge supplier of theirs as an example. They actually dropped this Asia pulp and paper company as a supplier specifically because of the way that they were doing the deforestation for making their paper. So just talking about like ways that people can be more responsible. And then, Nestle Water, obviously we've seen this this proliferation of this new concept in bottle design, right? The key there is that it actually was like, when they went to these new bottle designs, same amount of water, but it's 30% less plastic used in those bottle designs, right? And so that's like a huge, we're talking about like the hundreds of thousands of bottles that are consumed of this water. If we can do 30% less plastic in each bottle, you're talking about a big material savings. So let's talk about SolidWorks sustainability. What is it? So there's this word that you hear a lot in this industry, which is life cycle analysis and like a life cycle perspective. Because really, when you design a product, it's not just about the materials that go into that product immediately, right? You have the whole process by which like that steel was extracted and processed, right? So you have raw materials being extracted, then processed into some kind of a material, and then from there, we would go into like the actual production of your product. And then even once you've created a product, you still have all of the energy that goes into not only the machines that made the product, but then the amount of energy that product's going to use in its life, right? Then you move forward from there. You still have to like take that product from manufacturing. You have to transport it. So if you're manufacturing stuff in China, it doesn't matter what kind of plastic you use, how environmentally friendly it is. If you look at the entire life cycle and you're talking about shipping something across the ocean, the amount of like net detriment to the environment is pretty extensive. And then of course the product's going to be used, and then ultimately the product is either going to be recycled or disposed of, right? So hopefully recycled or otherwise just disposed of, And so that's what we mean when we talk about life cycle analysis, is looking at the total impact of the product from really the cradle to the grave, from the moment those materials were extracted all the way until the point at which it's disposed of. So there's this ISO standard 14040 that defines the standards kind of for doing, ISO gives us framework for doing different types of analysis. In this case, they have a framework for, product labeling and, how you go about doing these types of studies. The idea is that you look at every step in the process. So you look at the inputs and the outputs. You have, if you're doing like a full life cycle analysis, you'd be looking at like, everything from the HVAC in the building to the amount of coolant that your machine is using, you know what I mean? You have like, if you're doing machining, you don't just have, you have oils that are being used there, you have coolant, you have the amount of power being consumed by those machines. You really have to look at all the different amounts of energy that are being consumed, as well as the different chemicals that are being consumed, as well as the things that are turning into waste, right? Like coolant, for example, and also like the oils and stuff like that it's a big waste problem, right? So anyways, that's what a life cycle assessment is. So what we did is we turned to really a leader, thought leader in this world of life cycle assessment. It's a company called PE Americas. They've been doing this for like 20 years, since before it was trendy. And they developed a software called Gabby 4. And that software is for doing what I just showed you, which is like a very extensive, like global analysis of your entire company's waste process and overall just kind of carbon footprint and things like that. And so their database is huge for all these different products and processes, and it's been well vetted. This is just a sampling of some of their customers, but obviously, they're pretty big with the Fortune 500s. A lot of these big companies these days have these huge initiatives to go green, right? And, they may be doing it just to save money, or they may be doing it because they actually care. It's a good thing. So anyways, that's PE International. So what we did is we partnered with them. So we believe that all design is headed towards being sustainable design. You know what I mean? It's more and more consumers want greener products. At the end of the day, if there's 2 bottles of water sitting on the shelf and one of them is like in this green friendly packaging, that one's the one that's going to be selling these days, So we believe that consumers are demanding it, business wants it, it's going to be a strategy for success, and right now, it's really a mystery, right? There's really not, unless you're willing to spend some big bucks to have somebody come in, some consultant come in and do a full analysis of your business, it's difficult to know where all this stuff's coming from, right? So our approach is to take of all these different steps, right? You can go from like just pure intuition about what's better all the way up to a full life cycle assessment, So what are we going to do in the middle there? The SolidWorks idea is to bring life cycle up into the hands of the engineers rather than just some elite group of consultants who can come in and do this. While that definitely has its place for an overall analysis, what we'd like to do is see more engineers doing this up front. So thanks to the partnership that we have with PE International, we decided to focus on 4 factors. One is the carbon footprint. The next is the total energy consumption. The next is like air acidification and water eutrophication. So basically air pollution and water pollution. So those are going to be the 4 key metrics that we look at with our tool. It really helps. The idea is to help our customers understand that global changes that they can make to their products to make their designs more sustainable. And it's built on the robust Gabby database, right? That's the key. And we wanted to make this available to every SolidWorks user. So what we did is we created a product called SolidWorks SustainabilityXpress. And that's a free product that's available with all licenses of SolidWorks. So if you have SolidWorks, SustainabilityXpress is already in there. And what it allows you to do is a life cycle analysis of individual parts. It allows you to go through a material selection process where you can do a comparison and say, well, what if I need a material that's going to be, less environmentally harmful, but still has the same tensile strength. And so you can do a lot of those types of comparisons. And then what it does is it gives us an impact dashboard of the carbon footprint, the air pollution, the water pollution, the energy consumption. And then we can use that to create reports. I would have liked to have done a demonstration of the product during this time, but obviously with this computer and whatnot, that wasn't really an option. So if you guys want to see it, you can come to our booth. It's 3401. So that was SustainabilityXpress. The full version goes as Express does. but it also allows you to do a life cycle assessment of assemblies. And so you can take your entire product design in there and really get a feel for the total carbon footprint and everything else of the design, and you can make changes. You make changes about, what type of manufacturing process is this used, where is it being manufactured, is it being manufactured in China and shipped to the US? You put all this information in there and it gives you kind of a dashboard of the overall impact that your design's gonna have, and it lets you make changes. So then you can start making changes to the design and set baselines and then understand if it's gonna be better or worse in the different categories. So that's pretty much it. Mostly what I want to talk about today. Kind of got through this one pretty quick. But if you guys have any questions or you want to see how it's used, you can just come by our booth. We're in booth 3401, right? Yeah, 3401. Over at kind of opposite side of the convention center. Just listen for us. We're really loud and we're having a good time. So come on by. Thank you.